It was a Halloween party. I went as a beautiful African woman.
Oh, yeah, you ain't black.
But that's my hair. That's my hair.
Joy says she was imitating a beautiful black princess queen or something. Okay. Well, it's blackface.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Whoopi defended it, and Whoopi
Yeah.
stood next to Ted Danson in minstrel show
She told him
blackface
that
at a
she wrote
roast
his act.
and thought it was hilarious.
Roseanne Barr sat down with Megyn Kelly, and let's just say she didn't hold back. From her firing at ABC to the hypocrisy she sees in mainstream media, Roseanne came with receipts. And who took the biggest hit in this conversation? The ladies working at The View. Roseanne reveals she wasn't even allowed to appear on their show, despite never doing blackface herself. She points out that The View hosts had every opportunity to at least open a conversation, but instead, they decided to close the door on her.
What about, you were mentioning during the break, we kept our conversation going about Whoopi Goldberg. You have additional thoughts on Whoopi?
Oh, I like to slap her right upside the head there, very gently, nothing serious to harm her in any way, just to kind of realign a little bit of her wheels, as I say.
So, on Megyn Kelly's podcast, Roseanne revealed how the fallout from her controversial tweet was used to completely erase her not just from TV, but from the whole industry. Now look, it's easy to write this off as two celebrities being bitter, but they're actually calling out real inconsistencies in how people are treated in public life, especially when it comes to cancel culture, and especially when it comes to The View and ABC.
They told me I could not have those 24 hours. I could not be allowed on any of their other programs, which, like, I go, hey, put me on The View or Jimmy Kimmel. Those guys have both done blackface, so obviously you got double standards on your racism crap.
Yeah, hello.
One of the biggest points Roseanne made in the podcast was that she wasn't even allowed to appear on The View or Jimmy Kimmel Live after the controversy. She says she wanted a chance to explain her side, but ABC said no. She was completely cut off. And here's where the double standard hits hard. Roseanne pointed out that both Joy Behar and Jimmy Kimmel, who still work for the same network, have actually done blackface in the past. There are photos of Joy dressed as a beautiful African queen at a Halloween party. She wore makeup to darken her skin, and there's a full comedy skit of Kimmel impersonating NBA player Karl Malone in full-body paint. That clip's been circulating for years, but they didn't get canceled. They didn't lose their platforms. They apologize, then the media moved on. Roseanne, on the other hand, says she apologized too. But none of that mattered. She was done. And here's her argument. She never did blackface. Yet the people who did are still sitting on daytime TV, panels and hosting late-night shows while she got wiped off the map. She sees that as a clear example of selective outrage where the rules aren't applied equally, where forgiveness depends on who you are and what you represent. And that's not even the wildest part. Let's talk about Whoopi.
Whoopi did say, she said, well, I have a feeling that Roseanne didn't mean nothing racist, that she did what she did so that we could all learn something. I saw her say that one time, and I was like, hey, why don't you call me up, bitch, and then ask me that on the air so I can have a chance to say, particularly now.
Roseanne talked about Whoopi Goldberg, someone she used to respect but now feels deeply disappointed by. She claimed that after her tweet went viral and everything started crashing down, Whoopi said publicly that she didn't believe Roseanne was being phony. But here's the part that hit Roseanne the hardest. There was no invite to explain, no follow-up, no effort to give her a platform to clarify what she meant. And for Roseanne, that silence felt loudest, coming from someone who's been through her share of public criticism. She expected at least a phone call, maybe an invitation to speak on The View, or some kind of gesture to show that someone in the industry was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. But instead, she says she was completely canceled. Now, here's where the comparison gets even more uncomfortable. Roseanne brings up the time when Whoopi defended Ted Danson during one of the most controversial moments of his career. For those who don't know the full story, back in the early 90s, Ted Danson showed up to a Friars Club roast in full blackface. And it wasn't just makeup, it was the whole thing. Painted skin, exaggerated features, and offensive jokes. That roast made headlines for all the wrong reasons. And here's the twist. Whoopi Goldberg was his girlfriend at the time, and she wasn't just in the audience, she helped write the jokes for that performance. She literally stood by him as He did it even when the backlash was intense. Now compare that to Roseanne, who never did anything. Yet she's the one who was canceled, removed from her show, and completely blacklisted by networks like ABC. That's what Roseanne is trying to highlight here. It's not just about what you do, it's about who decides what's forgivable.
This is what they do, right? They sat there at your network and let them drive you out of the network, out of your own show. They didn't say a word. They have no courage.
Megyn Kelly didn't just nod along in this interview. She added her own fire to the conversation. She knows what it's like to be on the receiving end of media outrage. Back in 2018, she was dropped from NBC after her own controversy. And while she apologized, the network still cut ties. So when Roseanne shared her experience, Megyn didn't just sympathize, she connected the dots. She said that shows like The View pick and choose who they protect. If you fit the narrative, they'll defend you. If you don't, they'll let you fall. She questioned how The View brands itself as the voice of women but only seems to represent one kind of woman, the kind who agrees with them. Everyone else gets labeled, sidelined, or ignored. And Roseanne, she wasn't just ignored, she was just ignored. She was blacklisted. And look, some people might say Megyn's just trying to stay relevant, but here's the thing, she's been through it too. She got publicly dragged, lost her job, and rebuilt her platform from scratch. She didn't disappear. She worked hard. So when she calls out a system that protects some and punishes others, she's not speaking from the sidelines.
But can I tell you something? Like, those same bitches, they didn't defend me when I just said people used to do this blackface. I wasn't talking about minstrel show blackface. I was talking about Halloween. And they also didn't defend me. So this is what they do, right?
The next part of Roseanne's story is more extreme. We're talking about Sarah Gilbert, her longtime co-star, someone she helped launch into stardom, and someone she used to consider a real friend. But after the tweet scandal, Roseanne says Sarah didn't hesitate to distance herself. She brings up how Sarah was one of the first people to post publicly, saying Roseanne's comments don't reflect the values of our cast and crew. That post had huge consequences. Within days, ABC canceled the Roseanne reboot. But the show didn't go away completely. It just rebranded itself as The Connors.
She means to harm people. I should have fired her when I seen her trying to harm another woman star back in the day.
From Roseanne's side, that felt like betrayal. She had been the creative force behind the show. It was her name, her character, and her legacy that built it. And now, not only was she being erased, but people she thought were friends were helping make that happen. She didn't just lose her job, she lost something personal. What makes it worse, the show kept using her storyline. Her character was removed, but the whole setup, the family, the tone, the brand, it was still very much the world she created. And that's what stings most for her. Roseanne also points out she's not the only one who feels this way. Comedian Adam Carolla recently called out Sarah Gilbert to questioning how she handled the entire situation. So while it might seem like Roseanne is the only one calling her out, she's not standing alone. And that brings us back to the big picture, the cancellation itself, because Roseanne says it wasn't just about a tweet. Here's where Roseanne drops something a lot of people probably didn't know. The 24-hour cure clause. She says when everything blew up over her tweet, ABC told her she had 1 day to fix it. 1 day to issue an apology, explain herself, and make it right. And she did. She apologized multiple times. But according to her, the decision was already made. The network wasn't interested in making it right. They just wanted her gone. And in her words, it wasn't really about the tweet at all. She believes it was because she supported Trump. She said it clearly in the podcast. The executives at ABC wanted her off the air because her views didn't line up with theirs. She thinks her politics made her a target, and the tweet was just the excuse they needed to pull the plug. And if you look at what happened next, her show was canceled, her name was stripped, her character was violated. There was no public discussion, no second chances, no space for context.
I never watched that show because it makes my blood boil.
I know, we pulled clips.
I thought about just walking on, though, because they wouldn't stop me. I was going to walk right on that show.
Let's be real. This interview wasn't just two women sounding off. It was a rare, unfiltered look at how Hollywood TV networks and cancel culture really work behind the scenes. It was about patterns, about who gets silenced and who doesn't, and about how fast people turn their backs when the politics stop matching the brand. So here's where we pass it to you. Do y'all think Roseanne has a point? Did ABC and The View handle it fairly, or is this all just old grudges and ego? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe if you want more real talk like this.